Hi, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, thank you for joining me. There are some fragrances in my collection that I think are stunning, 10 out of 10s that I just don't hear getting talked about. I want to bring them to your attention and ask, why have you been sleeping on these absolute 10 out of 10 fragrance gems? Hey? Okay, I'm sure a few of you out there have tried the fragrances I'm going to talk about, but I'm guessing most of you haven't. So I want to shine a light on these fragrances, put them on your radar, so hopefully we can get a few more people talking about them. First up is a fragrance from the brand Juicebox, and this one is called Nightflow. We've got raspberry, saffron, pink pepper, jasmine sambac, leather, and ambergris. You may have picked up from these notes that this is a riff on the Tuscan ombre leather scent profile. Closer, I'd say, to ombre than Tuscan because the leather is even more in the background than either of those Tom Fords. The leather, particularly in Tuscan leather, is what drains it of some of its mass appeal, but I adore it, even though it can be tough on the nose for some. Out of those two Tom Ford fragrances, I'd say ombre is the most wearable because it smooths out the leather. It's not as harsh and abrasive. In my opinion, Nightflow smooths out the leather even more, to the point where it just hints at it in the background rather than it being a prominent note. It's also sweeter than ombre and Tuscan, which just adds to its mass appealing nature. It's got a sort of raspberry jam quality to it, which just makes it a really fun scent. So I think this is perfect for a night out. If you like the Tuscan ombre leather DNA, but maybe your partner doesn't dig it, which is quite a common thing, then you should try this because it is a more mass appealing version. Maybe your partner would like this. This could be the answer to all your problems. If you want something similar, but even more crowd pleasing, don't sleep on Nightflow. I don't see anyone on YouTube talking about this brand, and I can't understand why, because I love their fragrances. From Art de Parfum, this is Le Joker. Chili pepper, pink pepper, black pepper, all the pepper, plus sea notes, star anise and cedarwood. I've got to say, listening to that note breakdown, it doesn't give you that much of an idea of what this smells like, so that's why I'm here to explain it to you. But this did win the Pure Beauty Awards in 2020, so it is an award-winning fragrance. Very interesting fragrance, which is kind of hard to pin down, which is maybe why it won the award, but what you get is a very assertive, spicy opening, and then in the base there's some sweet woods, and sandwiched in the middle of these two things is a very lovely oceanic accord. I can appreciate that you can get slightly different oceanic accords. You can get breezy, salty sea air. This isn't that. This is that smell when you walk down onto a beach, the tide's gone out, there's a little bit of a smell of the seaweed, kind of similar to Tom Ford's Oud Mineral actually, but I would say that the sea notes are a little more toned down than in Oud Mineral, which is now discontinued, and also this is a little sweeter and a little spicier than that one. If you were wanting to pick up Tom Ford's Oud Mineral, but because it's been discontinued, you can only find it online at ridiculous prices, which happens to all discontinued fragrances, then this is definitely a good option. If you want a lively, versatile, aquatic, don't sleep on Le Joker, or the joke will be on you. This one I discovered a few years ago. It is a stunning tobacco scent and very quickly became one of my favourite tobacco scents. This is called, well, tobacco. This little beaut from Franck Booklet has tobacco, ginger, plum, vanilla and vetiver. To give you an idea of what this smells like, I'm gonna drop another Tom Ford reference. Sorry about that, complete coincidence, but this is in the same sort of fragrance family as Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, although it does lean more into the tobacco for me, less into the vanilla, more into the tobacco. This is richer and slightly more intense and not as shouty as Tobacco Vanille. The ace up the sleeve of this fragrance though is the plum note. That rich, dark fruitiness from the plum just seems to blend perfectly with the rich tobacco. The other thing to consider is that Tobacco Vanille retails for around £200. You can find it a little bit cheaper sometimes, but retail is usually around the £200 mark, if not a little more than that. Just before I started filming this video, I had a look online and I found this for somewhere between £60 and £70, depending on where you buy from and what offers are on at the time. That's 100ml. I think that is really good value. Better value than Tobacco Vanille. It's a better fragrance in my opinion. It's one of the best tobaccos I own. If you love tobacco fragrances, do not sleep on this gem. If you like citrus scents, but you don't want them fleeting, you want them to last a long time so you can wear them all year round, this one is a great option. I've owned this one now for a few years. From the brand Shaik, this is Chic Shake number 70. Lovely, juicy, invigorating bergamot, lemon and orange. Then we've also got vetiver, sandalwood and patchouli. This is a beautiful, crisp, very refined scent. With this, I love how the juicy, invigorating citrus plays off against the dry, woody vetiver. It's clean and fresh, but it's also got a good depth to it, which equates to good performance. Very smooth, very well rounded. You could wear this casually or you could dress it up smart. The quality on this is as high as any luxury brand. I was just checking out prices before filming this. Natino currently have this 80ml bottle for £110. I have seen it cheaper, so maybe keep your eyes out for it. But if you want a clean, fresh, invigorating citrus scent that also has good performance, do not sleep on Chic Shake number 70. If you like them powdery, I think there's a good chance you're going to really like Arbolé from Hiram Green. We got tonka bean, patchouli, vanilla, cedarwood and sandalwood. It's a very likeable, easygoing kind of scent. I tend to find that powdery scents are usually very crowd pleasing. There's nothing abrasive about them. Most people seem to really like them. This one's got a kind of sweet baby powder or talcum powder smell to it, which is actually very comforting. The patchouli and the woods in this give it a good deal of weight and density, which also gives it good performance. There's also an enticing vintage quality to this fragrance. It doesn't smell old or dated, but it just nods nicely at classic perfumery. All this is warmed by a creamy, comforting vanilla. Really nice stuff from Hiram Green. If you like powdery scents, I think this is one of the best. Do not sleep on Arbolé. If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store, luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands, plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description. Okay, there's a lot of talk about molecule fragrances like Eccentric's Molecule 01. Some people can smell them and love them. Other people can't smell them at all and think it's all just a big con. This molecule fragrance, however, from 2787 definitely has an alluring smell that is just pure bliss. Genetic Bliss. The brand say this is a molecular perfume designed to adapt to your body's unique natural scent. It has a few types of woody molecules in there, including a sexy, creamy sandalwood. There's something very sexy about this fragrance when you wear it on its own. It's not particularly fragrant, I guess I could describe it as. It's not aromatic or floral, it's just got the woods in there and then that creamy sandalwood. So if you want to wear a fragrance that doesn't smell too much like you're wearing a fragrance, but you still want to smell sexy and alluring, this does that. You could combine this with other fragrances to add some extra depth and woodiness. If there's a fragrance that you really like, but it's lacking a little bit in depth and woodiness, this is one very versatile scent. This brand is pretty new to me. I only discovered it earlier this year in Milan, but I'm loving it. I think this fragrance is something special. You know what not to do? Sleep on it. I mean, don't sleep on it, you know what I mean. Here is a brilliant brand that doesn't get any YouTube hype for some reason. From Renier Perfumes, this one is Habana 500. As you might guess, this one is inspired by Cuba. It has apple, sea notes, coffee, milk, amber, leather, and sandalwood. Oh, my mouth waters when I read out the notes of this fragrance. Sounds good, doesn't it? The only thing that I don't really pick up on that much in here is the sea notes. I don't think there's anything aquatic about this fragrance, even though it's in a blue bottle. It doesn't smell particularly marine or oceanic. What I do get though is a beautiful, fresh coffee note. And in addition to that, something that isn't listed, I get a really lovely fresh tobacco smell. Surprisingly, tobacco isn't listed in here. You would think Cuban cigars might have a little bit of an appearance in this fragrance, but there doesn't seem to be, but I kind of get that sort of vibe. There's also some booziness to the fragrance, which just is another element to it that makes me enjoy it so much. This is an extremely well-crafted fragrance that is pretty easy to wear, yet still very artistic and attention-grabbing. I should also mention that this has fantastic performance, so if you like fresh coffee fragrances, a little bit of tobacco, and you want a bit of that Cuban flair, don't sleep on Habana 500. Last up is a fragrance that I smelled pretty recently and it blew me away straight away, partly because it's so enjoyable, but also because to me it smells so unique. From the brand Victoria Perfumes, this is Ramesses the First. We got mandarin, saffron, sea salt, violet, osmanthus, oak moss, akigala wood, just like in Genetic Bliss, immortelle flower and amyris. I am enjoying this so much. It's incredibly mass appealing, yet also has a good complexity to it. It doesn't smell like anything I've ever smelled before. There's a fluffy, creamy sexiness to it, similar to what you get in Oud for Greatness, so I'm not sure if that's the saffron. There's also a little bit of fruitiness in the background here, not too much. It's definitely not an overly fruity fragrance. I thought I was picking up on a little bit of a really nice, clean, medicinal oud in this fragrance, but apparently there is no oud in here. It could be the Akigala wood, which is providing this potent woody intensity in the base. I can't get enough of this fragrance. It's super addictive. It's easy to wear. It's very unique. That is a major factor for me. I smell so many fragrances and I recognize lots of scent profiles. Something might smell good, but then I'll think, well, it reminds me a little bit of that and it's nothing really that original. I find this to be based on what I've smelled. I'm not saying that there isn't another fragrance out there that might smell similar to this, but if there is, I haven't smelled it. So this has blown me away because it's unique. And for me to come across a fragrance that I really love, that I haven't smelled that sort of scent profile before, that's what I'm really enjoying about this. Another great thing is it's the sort of smell that I think is very likely to get compliments. I compared a part of it to Oud for Greatness. It doesn't smell anything like Oud for Greatness other than it having that creamy, fluffy sexiness. But that fragrance gets quite a lot of compliments and I think this one probably will do as well, although I will need to report back to you about the compliment situation. But I'm hopeful. This is a brand new Swedish brand. Based on the quality of this one, I can't wait to get my nose on the rest of the line. Seriously, look into this brand. I think there's a sample set. If you've tried anything from this house, if you've tried Ramesses the first, please let me know what you think of it, because I think there's gonna be a lot of people out there who really love this fragrance. Most definitely do not sleep on this. There's a little selection of fragrances for me. What fragrances could you recommend that are under the radar fragrance gems that maybe most people haven't tried because they're not getting talked about a lot for some unknown reason? If you've got some gems, drop them down in the comments for me. If you like this video, you know what to do. I don't have to tell you to hit that little thumb button somewhere down here, over there, somewhere. You know the score. So yeah, do that please, because you know what, it really helps. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.